Hi. What's up? Today I will tell you how American Pit Bull Terriers appeared. Subscribe to the channel if you like it. If you want to send a donation, the link is in the description. The Pit Bull Terrier breed was born more than 300 years ago, in 1800, when dog fighting was popular in the world. Scientists consider Old English Bulldogs and Terriers to be the ancestors of Pit Bull Terriers. In those days, the bulldogs who were taken out to bait bulls had a strong and courageous body, powerful muscles and a huge jaw. All these traits have been passed on to modern pit bulls. Pit bulls were mainly bred to participate in dog fights. The new breed has combined all the virtues of its ancestors: power, massiveness, agility, strength, agility and speed. At first, the dog was called a bull and terrier, and it was perfect for fighting, easily defeating any opponent. Every year the breed improved and gained fame. After dog fighting was banned in England in 1835, all fighting breeds began to be considered illegal, and in the middle of the 19th century, pit bulls ended up in America, where there was no ban. Dogs quickly became popular and received the official name American Pit Bull Terrier. Here in 1898 the first breeding club appeared, and those who were worried about the purity of the breed joined it. Surprisingly, the club is still active. Later, the owners of the pit bulls achieved the right to participate in exhibitions. They developed a breed standards, and in 1936 it was officially registered. John Colby was the most famous breeder of all time. He moved from Ireland to America in 1900. He brought with him a purebred dog of the old family line. He was a fan of that breed and devoted his whole life to improving and popularizing the pit bull. Colby Spring was one of those foundation dogs. He was sired by Racine Sam and whelped by Racine's Bess in 1894. Colby Spring gained great fame when he defeated Gilligan's Crib in Boxford, Massachusetts on April 29, 1897, at a pit weight of 22 pounds. The contest raged for 3 hours and 15 minutes, with Colby Spring the victor. John P. Colby pictured his dog Spring on his business envelopes for many years after that. John P. Colby is noted for making only one outcross during his lifetime, and that was after 30 years of breeding experience. This was indeed possible due to the extreme care he took in the selection of his initial breeding stock and his own talent and skills as a breeder. When John P. Colby did finally decide to make an outcross, it was to the dog known as Colby's Golty. A lot of fanciers think of Golty as being at the beginning of the Colby dogs. Now you can understand that this was not the case at all. Circa 1919, Henry Colligan and his friend John Kelly purchased a pit dog from Mr. Edwards of Nashua, New Hampshire. John Kelly, not being much of a dedicated dogman, soon lost interest in the dog and sold his half to Mr. Colligan. Mr. Colligan kept the dog Golty and continued to raise him. The longer he kept Golty, the better he liked him. Mr. Colligan knew that his longtime friend, John P. Colby, had been looking for a proper outcross to use in his strain of dogs, and figuring that Colby could use Golty to a better advantage than himself, took Golty to the Galby Hose in Newburyport. Together, they decided to test Golty and see just how good he really was. Colby went ahead and bought Golty from Colligan and bred him to one of his finest females. This was done in case Golty proved to be game, but did not survive the test he would have to undergo. It was a great testimony to the man when his own son, Joseph L. Colby, then residing in Sacramento, California, published his book, The American Pit Bull Terrier, and dedicated it to his father, John P. Colby, in 1936. The breeding of John P. Colby covers a span of time from 1889 to 1941, over 50 years of proven success. During this time it is said that John P. Colby raised more than 5,000 dogs. The lineage of these dogs can be traced back as far as records were kept in America and past those records to their very origin in Ireland and England, long before there were such things as registries or kennel clubs to keep records of pedigrees. The witness to the success of John P. Colby as a breeder is the establishment of one of the greatest records of all time for producing. It is extremely doubtful that anyone could do historical research on the American Pit Bull Terriers of modern times without returning to the name John P. Colby. His dogs were sold all throughout North, South, and Central America and were extremely popular in both Cuba and Mexico. In the early part of his career as a breeder, John P. Colby became the center of controversy. One must understand that up until this time, breeders and fanciers of the pit dog were a much tighter group, much more exclusive than the fanciers of today. The finest dogs were only passed to family, and the most trusted friends, and the secrecy of their lineage was closely guarded. John Colby broke that tradition when he began to offer stud service and quality bred pups for sale to the common man. This was to be his crime. He became successful in making the American Pit Bull Terrier popular to the general public and was one of the first to do so. As it is with anyone who has the foresight and fortitude to do things first, there will always be those quick to ridicule and criticize. He was, by some, labeled no more than a puppy peddler. However, a puppy peddler is a person who will sell you any dog in his yard, and they do not care about the quality of dogs they breed. Their only concern lies somewhere in the dollar sign and the number of puppies their females can produce to reach that end. You can see and judge for yourself that John P. Colby was a far cry from that, by any means. Why, to call John P. Colby a puppy peddler could be like calling Henry Ford no more than a car salesman or John Glenn no more than a pilot. It would be ridiculous. It is true that a lot of the Colby dogs are slow to start or to come on, sometimes taking 2 to 3 years to fully mature. However, this is not uncommon with the breed as a whole. Also, when the Colby dogs did mature, they were well worth waiting on, being some of the gamest dogs the world has ever seen. John P. Colby worked hard in all areas to help promote the breed and their popularity to the general public. It is a little known fact, but true enough, that John P. Colby was a charter member and helped to establish the Staffordshire Club of America. He did this to help ensure the preservation of the breed and back them in forcing the breed acceptance into the Registry of the American Kennel Club in 1936. When the AKC, American Kennel Club, did finally accept the breed for registration, it was under the name of Staffordshire. As a standard for the breed they chose the game dog known as Colby's Primo. English breeders, who moved to America, were not happy with this name and preferred the name APBT. The name APBT was adopted by most of the breeders of the pit bull, although they were against the fact that this breed has the expression bull terrier in its name. Meanwhile, the problem of what name to give the breed remained. And now, among breeders in everyday speech, the expression bulldog is most often used. But then this name was unacceptable because an English blunt-nosed bulldog was registered under it. In 1898 another club was founded, the United Kennel Club. His goal, led by Mr. Z. Bennett, was to give the breed an official name. Given that the name Pit was in parentheses. Bennett also developed rules for dog fighting. Many breeders have abandoned the registration of their pit bulls under the Staffordshire name and introduced their pets to the Kennel Club and the American Dog Breeders Association. ADBA was founded in 1909 under the leadership of Guy McCard and was based in Chicago at the time. Here the pit bull breed was also registered under the name APBT. For many years people believed, and still believe, that the Staffordshire Terrier and Staffordshire Bull Terrier are one and the same breed, and at the same time they believe that their development went separately and the standards for them are different. The Staffordshire Bull Terrier is the old name for the APBT breed. APBT became official in 1970.